Hey boys, even in the international break, we're still getting some juicy drama to cover. So let's get straight into it, right? So we all know Jackson's agent and Jackson and the whole situation we had on deadline day, right? And we tried to recall him from his loan, and then we used that to our advantage to get an obligation onto the loan, right? So we could potentially get a permanent sale with Bayern Munich. Well, this has just come out today. So the honorary president of Bayern, right, has said the player and his agent contribute 3 million euros. So they paid to join as well, right? So we pay 13.5 million loan fee. There will definitely not be a permanent contract. That only happens if he plays 40 games from the start, and it will never happen. It is literally him saying these words as well. You know, wasn't under any pressure or anything. Just full on said this, right? And it's the same thing here. So under the German reporters, right? So look, he will never do that. I mean, those are pretty strong words, right? And obviously it makes sense, right? If he needs to start 40 games and we've got AFCON, and it's not like he's a main player and main starter right anyway. Look, Harry Kane's going to be in that position. You know, you've got Elise on the right. Yes, Musiala's out for the season, but Jackson doesn't fill that role. They've got Nabry playing there now, right? So Jackson really is a decent backup to Harry Kane, but he's obviously not going to start 40 games in a season when Harry Kane's fully fit, and it'll take a Harry Kane, you know, ACL or leg break for Jackson to actually hit these 40 games. And by the sounds of it, even if that was the case, they'd probably play him for 39 games, right? And not even playing for that one game because don't want to pay the 56 million. It's quite clear they only wanted him on loan. And I think this was the only sort of situation we could come to, right, on deadline day with Jackson's agent, so we could get the deal done. Because Bayern Munich, pretty clear, do not want to sign Jackson on a permanent. Maybe if he has a decent loan spell, we'll revisit it next season, right? And we maybe drop the price or something like that. Maybe we sell him for 40 million, but I feel we can get more money for him than that, right? So I think him and Bayern is only this one season and they're going to be on loan. There's not going to be any other sort of transfer saga, to be honest. It's been pretty clear, and I don't know what this does for Jackson now as well. He hasn't even played a game for them yet, right? And they're already sort of, you know, cussing him out and saying, "Yeah, we don't want him. We don't want to pay for him," and we've made that quite clear. We're never gonna buy him, and he's on there on loan. What does that do for his motivation? What does that do for, you know, his sort of situation? Now he quite literally is just going to be one of the bomb squad players, right? He's going to come back from loan. It was quite a bit of a messy end, you know. We can't ignore that. And even if he does have a great season there, Bayern have made it clear they don't want to buy him. So he's going to come straight back to Chelsea. Obviously, he's not going to play another game for Chelsea with the whole situation, right? He refused to come back. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm not saying we were in the right or he was in the right for that situation. You know, we kind of messed him around a bit as well. So it goes both ways, right? But I don't know what that does for him. He's there now training, and the hierarchy at Bayern Munich have quite clearly said on social media and for the world to see, yeah, we don't want to buy him. He's not in our plans. He's purely a lone player, and we're going to use him as a squad player. So, you know, and I also saw the agent posted here as well, which is quite funny because the agent was talking so much on deadline day, like absolute waffle, right? Many talk, but few will tell the truth. That's not the topic today. Our only priority is Senegal's decisive match for World Cup qualification. This is a crucial moment for the entire nation. Our path, our ethics, and our way of working are known, first as footballers and today as advisors to African players. It is time for sacred union. The rest will be dealt with in due time. So, where did all the energy go for we're Bayern Munich players? Now all of a sudden we're just trying to, you know, do good for Senegal and the national team. There's no like, no, we're Bayern players now. You know, whatever happened at Chelsea, and Jackson was saying his favourite moment was signing for Villarreal. So they're trying to throw shade and just being really weird about it. So I do find this quite amusing, especially for the agent. You know, a few of these footballers' agents, they need to pick some smarter people. I don't get why they're posting all this on social media. They must just clearly love the attention. But like, if you're an agent's point of view, it doesn't necessarily bring great traction for your player, right? You're representing Jackson, and all he's doing is just posting silly little stories. And we saw so much on deadline day. too much to cover, really, right? So I've just found this whole situation quite amusing, pretty unfortunate for Jackson, but there you go. The situation, it is what it is, right? He clearly wanted to leave. We recalled him from loan on his flight to Munich. So yes, it was a bit harsh, what we were trying to do. I think we were just using that to tie Bayern into doing an obligation, and the only way we could get an obligation is basically with this unrealistic demand. You know, fair enough if it was something like if he scores 15 league goals or something like that, he potentially could hit that. But with AFCON, with being a backup to Harry Kane and maybe playing as a winger, he's not hitting 40 starts. It's quite literally impossible, right? And they've just drummed that into everyone on social media. Everyone in Germany, is well aware of the situation now. So, it is what it is, Jackson. You've got to crack on now, mate. When you do come back to Chelsea, you're going to be in the bomb squad. You're going to be training with the under 21s until we find you a suitable club. So, this is the sort of situation. And obviously, we've got the Alliance pretty soon now, right? In about a week's time. So, I have a feeling we're going to have a bit more to this story as well. His agent for sure is going to post something regardless of what happens. I'm probably predicting Bayern will beat us. It's going to be a tough game going away, especially after playing at Brentford, right? So I don't have the highest hopes for the game. And even if Jackson doesn't play, you can tell his agent's going to be posting some absolute waffle on social media. So that's the sort of situation we've got right now. To me, it's quite amusing. This it is what it is, right? We're not going to be able to set him for 56 million. I don't think that was ever a sort of going to happen anyway. He's going to be back in the bomb squad. He's going to be joining Sterling and Disasi, and hopefully we can find suitable clubs for him next year. So good luck at Bayern, mate. You're going to be back up to Harry Kane. So we've also got a bit more news here, right? Sterling not considering any move abroad as it stands, despite calls from Turkey in recent days. So I covered this in my last video anyway. Sterling, he's comfortable on his wage. He only wants to stay in London. And the club can't force him out, right? So he's not too keen on playing regular football. If he was, he would go out on loan somewhere or potentially go to Saudi. But he's happy collecting his 300k a week, which we did give him. So we've only got ourselves to blame there, right? And he only wants to stay in London. And if he didn't want to join Fulham or Brentford or anyone like that, there's no other clubs for him to join. So he is just going to rot at our club for 2 years. He's going to play in the under 21s. He doesn't want to leave. He's not going to join Turkey or anywhere abroad. So, sort of a situation for Todd Bowley to sort of reflect on, right? And the big signings we did in that summer, which a lot of them did flop. Let's be honest. Then, just to cover the next couple days, right? Because the international break is coming to an end now. Thank God. We can finally look forward to seeing Chelsea, and the games are going to come in really quick as well, really fast. So it's going to be loads to cover, loads of football to watch, which will be exciting. International break is so boring. Unless it's a major tournament like the Euros or the World Cup, I'm not interested in watching England play. I don't care about the friendlies. It's nothing to me. So for this period is quite boring, right? So at least we'll have lots of football soon. But anyway. Cucurella starts once again for Spain tonight, playing 2 in a row now. Next weekend against Brentford will be interesting, with Bayern and Manchester United coming up soon after. Could be opportunity to give Cucurella some rest and start Joel Hatto. So I haven't given too much thought to what our starting team could look like against Brentford. I'll make a separate video on that closer to the game, right? We play on Saturday, so I'll probably do a video Thursday, Friday, what we could play. And I'm sure Maresca will have a few press conferences where he'll give his thoughts on players' fitnesses and who's available and whatnot. But to be honest, I would rotate slightly against Brentford. I do think Brentford are a weak team this season, but again, we're still playing away from home. Can't really afford to drop any points, especially with this fixture run we've got. This is the game we do need to win. So I wouldn't go, a heavily rotated team. And yes, we do have Bayern Munich away a couple days after the game, but we can't afford to just sort of maybe settle for a point if we go for a weakened team. So it'll be interesting to see, right? With certain players playing more for their national teams, especially Brazil, and they've got a long distance to travel as well, right? So Estevao and João Pedro and Andre Santos might be a bit sort of jet lagged and tired for the Brentford game. So players like that I would probably rest. Cruella we could start, right? But it could be a good opportunity for Joel Hatto. But I haven't given too much thought into who I would play in the game. But for sure, we need to rotate. We can't play a full strength 11 against Brentford. We're going to have a few players come in. Maybe Garnacho will get his first start as well, right? So just some food for thought. I think with Bayern Munich, creeping up, we do need our strongest 11 for that game. Otherwise, if we're starting quite weak like we have been in previous games, right? West Ham were 2-1 up against us. We conceded a goal early on against Fulham and Crystal Palace. Yes, it was disallowed, but we still conceded, right? We do that against Bayern Munich. Harry Kane's going to be on a brace 20 minutes in. That's the brutal reality of it, right? So we need to be switched on for that game, which means we need our players fully fit. It's not an ideal situation, but for me, this would be a good opportunity for players like Garnacho and Joel Hatto and players like that. But I'll go into that closer when we get to the game, right? This came out a couple hours ago, which I thought was really interesting. So, Blueco is one of the interested parties in Santos FC. In July, there was a meeting between members of the group, such as Egbali and the presidents of Santos. At the moment, it's just conversations. Oh, potentially, they're definitely eyeing up another club, right, under this Blueco model. Whether we actually go into Brazil or we go to another country abroad remains to be seen, but sure, they're definitely interested in snapping up another club to help with development. And I think this would be really smart if we could get, it doesn't have to be Santos, but some sort of club in Brazil. There's so much talent there, and similar to what we've seen with Strasbourg as well, it's a great opportunity to coach other players from that league and to develop into that team, right? So any good sort of 17, 18-year-old Brazilians, instead of us snapping them up and maybe loaning them to Strasbourg or anything like that, we can just buy them through whatever club we purchase in Brazil, right? And they can just they can stay in their team, their national team, develop for another couple seasons before making that big jump to Europe. So for me, this would be really smart, a great way to develop more talent. There's so much of it in Brazil as well. We could really put our foot down. And, who's the best 16, 17, 18-year-old in Brazil? And we can go out and get them before Real Madrid or anyone can come sniffing. But, we could make some potentially, huge acquisitions here. So for me, this would be really positive. Anywhere in South America, to be honest, if we could get a big club in Brazil or Argentina or somewhere like that, right? Just somewhere where it's not such a big jump for them to go to Europe, but we can still sort of monopolize and put them all into one club, right? So for me, this is really exciting. I like this news a lot. Don't know if it will be Santos, but they're for sure looking at another club. But let's see what happens. It's definitely, let's watch this space. So that's it for today, boys. Pretty funny with the whole Jackson situation. For me, it's karma with the agent. You get what you reap what you sow. You can talk all the waffle on social media. Well, look, it's come back to bite you. So that's the news for today, boys. I'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully we've got Chelsea soon. So peace.